Welcome to the future, you guys. Today's episode is jam-packed. It's so big, we might break the internet again. Okay, so who do we have on the show today? We have Dina Rodriguez. She's a hand lettering artist. We've asked you guys on Twitter to let us know about what kind of phrase that you want, and she's already picked one. It's an awesome phrase. But also on this episode, we have Adam Sanborne, our musical director. He's going to be playing some live music. Adam, play a little something for us right now, will you? Okay, we have Mark, we have Erica, we have Aaron, and we also have Emmanuel, who's also going to be doing some hand lettering with us. But before we get into all that, I want to let you guys know a little bit about our guest in case you don't already know about her. We endeavor to bring you guys amazing guests from all over the world, men, women, artists, graphic designers, and in this case, a wonderful lettering artist, and she's got a YouTube channel as well. Here's some things I know about her. How do I know these things? Because she wrote them in beautiful hand-lettered chalk. That's how I know. She's a speaker, an art teacher, a feminist designer. She's super dedicated, curious, traveler. She's rad. She's weird and silly, and maybe it's because she's super caffeinated. This is awesome. Look at this. She's also prepared some hand lettering guides that you can purchase online for a pretty reasonable price, I must say. So there's a bunch of things that she's offering, and you can go to her website. That's Lettershoppe, and it's spelled like the old English spelling, S-H-O-P-P-E, Lettershoppe, and you guys can check it out. These individual lettering books are $14, and you can download them. And there's a couple things here that I was able to pull off the internet, samples of her work, and we're gonna get an opportunity to look at her work in real time and talk to her at the same time. Not only does she do hand lettering stuff, but there's also some custom vector stuff here too. This is really beautiful. And I just found out right before we went on air that Dina is not so much on Behance anymore because Dribble's where the action is at, you guys. Dribble. So without further ado, this is Dina Rodriguez. And what we need to do is roll the turtles! All right, Dina, welcome to the show. This is awesome to have you. The last time you came on our show, I was not here. I was busy in Europe, and I was like, I was bumming out that I wasn't going to be on the show. But you and I have talked before. I love your personality. I love your attitude. I love the work that you do. So let's get into it. Can we hear you say something?
I'm just like, what else about me do you love? Like,
go on.
Flowing. Clapped right before we started. I love it.
Look at that. You got the two-finger glove going on. Tell us about that. What is that?
Yeah. So throughout today's live stream, I'm going to be using my iPad Pro and Apple Pencil. So this helps me. It's just like a $3 glove you get on Amazon. So that way my hand can glide really easily across the screen. And also my finger doesn't interrupt my brush strokes too.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Maybe, Emmanuel, I don't see a glove on you. So you're like semi-pro, Emmanuel.
I need to buy
and she's like super pro. Look at this, guys. We can't get a wide enough angle lens to get everybody into the shot here. Yeah. All right. We don't need to see Aaron's face. Like, he's like peeping through the thing. He's got a little action going on. Okay, so what phrase should we work on today? What phrase did you pick?
Well, there was a lot of really good feedback that we got, but I thought, okay, we're doing something live here on the future, so I chose "The future is so bright, we need shades."
Love it. The future. Okay, Emmanuel, you got that?
Yeah.
The future is so bright, we need shades. I like that. Are we able to see Adam too, or just Nina?
Yeah, we're working on it. Stand by.
Working on it. That's okay. We can hear him in the background with his guitar, playing out of his studio. And in case you guys are wondering who the heck Adam is, well, Adam's been doing the music for us for the theme song, and he's been doing a lot of little bits. Adam, you want to say something? Just say something.
Something.
We see you.
Oh, we see you now. All right, Adam.
What's up, everybody?
All right.
Thank you for having me.
You have a very impressive collection of guitars.
Yeah, that's just one side. You don't see
There's
over
even
there.
more.
Yeah.
Now we know where you're spending all your money.
My children, yes.
Yes. All right, cool. Well, welcome to the show. We're super happy to have you here. I think we endeavor to always up the level of production and everything that we're doing. But let's not waste a lot more time. Let's get into it. So, Dina, show us the setup. How are you beginning this process of lettering? The future is so bright, we need shades.
Yeah. So just to give people a little bit more details about how I'm going to be making this. So again, using an iPad Pro and Apple Pencil, I'm using an amazing program software called Astropad that allows me to screen mirror Photoshop or Illustrator or really any Adobe suite that you need to your iPad. So it works just like a Cintiq, but it's far more affordable.
Yes.
than having to
Do you
buy one of
find
those guys.
that the AstroPad is responsive? Do you get lag on it?
I've been getting a little bit lag, but I think that's because I'm on the OG and they have like a new subscription plan. So you know how a lot of companies will like make their old stuff worse so that we can buy their new stuff. Oh,
Yes.
I'm probably gonna get so mad at me. Give me a free version of Studio, and maybe I won't complain about your program on the internet. Just saying.
Okay. AstroPad, pay attention. Pay attention
Yeah.
here. All right.
Okay, so how we're gonna get started is we picked out our phrase.
Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, I thought so. Here.
I think you have to reshare because
I have to
I took
reshare.
over. Yeah.
Okay.
I unshared and so
Get
now you
back
can
on
reshare.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
We see the Photoshop. All right. So,
Yes, we
Thank
do.
you, darling.
oh, you're welcome. Okay, so the good way to start for any phrase is just to write it in your own handwriting because we have to figure out what the visual hierarchy of this phrase is going to be. Essentially, this is how people are going to interpret the phrase as if you were saying it to them in real life. There's a big difference between the future is so bright, we need shades, and the future is so bright, we need shades, right? That's how we know what words are bigger, which ones have the most detail, and it just completely changes the tone of the piece. So what I like to do is just simply write it out. The future is so bright, we need shades. So I would say the most important words in the phrase are future, bright, and shades. And so little words like the, is, so, we need, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 underlines. So we have think of it as almost like your headings in a website. So we have like our H1s, which are the one line, and our H2s, which are the underline. So future, bright, and shades. Next, I'm going to figure out is how we're going to go ahead and put this in a box. So the aspect ratio that I chose was actually for a tall Instagram image, which is 1350 by 1080. I always like to use tall images on Instagram because the taller the image, the more engagement you'll get because it's a long image and takes viewers longer to see it. So the algorithm will give you an extra point for that, which is really nice. Yeah, so a little social media tidbit for you. So first thing, we know the aspect ratio. So we're gonna do a couple thumbs. We don't want to jump in too soon because something that'll take like 10 minutes just to figure out a basic layout is going to save you so much trial and error down the line. So little tiny boxes. And right now, just so you guys know, I'm using a really cool custom Photoshop brushes, which is called the hand lettering kit. It's the hand lettering toolkit from Retro Supply Co. And they're on Creative Market. And also if you just go to retrosupplyco.com, or it might just be retrosupply.co.
Okay.
Don't remember.
Perfect. I'm writing this stuff down.
They're freaking amazing. I've used these brushes exclusively for like the past 2 years, and I keep buying new ones, and these are my favorites because they mimic traditional tools like pencils and brushes, and even like a micron pen, which is what
I just want to take a moment and thank you for mentioning all the resources that you're using in the tools, because inevitably people ask later on in the comments, like, where do I find this? At least you're doing it on the show now, so guys, that's where you find it.
Yeah, it's just like AstroPad hand lettering toolkit for brushes. Those are usually the common questions. Okay, so we know what words have the most importance in the phrase, so now we just need to stack them. So you don't want to get too far, we just want to stack them normally. So I would probably use something like the needs to be small, right? Future needs to be on its own line. Is so, and we're not doing any special containers, we're just stacking right now. Bright, we need, I could have done this a little bigger, but I want it to be kind of scruffer with shades. So if we were just going to do a basic layout, you could have just done something like, okay, is so, and the, and we need is small, and then maybe you put like some sort of filigree around it or something. That's kind of boring. So now we want to play with containers. Containers for your lettering can look like a box. It can look like an arc. You can kind of play with some more funky shapes. And for anybody watching this now or in the future, feel free to draw with us. I'm really excited to see what people might make. And if you see anything or you make anything, even if it's just a doodle on a napkin, just tag me at Lettershoppe at the 2 P's and E, like an old ice cream parlor, and I'll give you a free critique if you're interested.
Wow, that's super generous. Okay.
And then we got a banner. They're just doing like all the common stuff. And then you have like just the diagonal. So just a couple of containers to get you guys kind of started thinking about that kind of thing. So once I have my containers, I'm going to go ahead and put them all together. So what I'm wanting to do is, I think I want the just to be really tiny up top. The future, what if we did a diagonal, maybe something in script? And then is so. Now we have this kind of leftover container. So that might be a nice way to kind of have it grow. Get super close in here. And we could do bright, almost like a little box to have some movement in there, and then need shades. We need, and then shades. So that's something that I'll do. I'll just start to do boxes because I'm just trying to figure out what's the best composition, not only fill up the space, but also to pay special attention to those bigger words in the phrase. I have an idea of what I'm going to do already, but I want to play around with just some different containers. It just takes a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And notice when I'm drawing these containers, I'm keeping in mind the size of the words and how tall the words are going to be as well. So I like anything with an arc at the top. I'm super a fan of. We need, and then shades. And I definitely think I'm going to actually put glasses in here and maybe do shades like in the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be its own container. Right?
Yeah.
You got to put some shades in there, get some representational iconography. So I think between this one and this one, what do you guys think? Do we have a crowd favorite?
Let's ask the
basic?
people who are watching YouTube and Facebook right now to see which they prefer. Do you prefer option 1 or option 2? Mark, can you help me monitor who's saying what?
Yep.
I like the one with the, what was it? Representational iconography?
Yeah.
Well said, Aaron. Well said.
All right, we have people liking number 2, the one in the middle.
Which is number 1.
Yep.
Okay.
It's all over the map.
It looks harder. It's more of a challenge.
But we're getting pretty good consensus on number 1 and 2.
Well, there's only 2 options. Our internet audience. Come on, you guys. All right, you guys.
Someone
Here
said
we go.
middle.
Here we go. I'm going to prompt you right now. Everybody that's ready to type in right now. 1 or 2. Go.
2. Everyone
Aaron,
say
stop
2.
saying that. You're influencing our audience.
2.
Knock it
I
off.
have a favorite, but I'll let you guys pick.
Okay, come on.
I say 1.
If you type in 2 twice, it doesn't count, you guys. Come on. Because that's option 22.
It's a different number.
Mark, what
Yeah, I don't see a clear winner here. It's
Oh my
pretty
God, it's
split.
going bananas
Yeah.
right now. Ah!
It is going crazy.
Okay, I say it's number 1. It looks. Oh, now they're coming back with
Yeah,
number
they're
2.
coming. It's,
All right, Dina, you pick. It's all over the place.
All right, I'm doing 2 because I love illustration.
Do 2.
you
Boom.
go.
All right.
I'm doing
Dina is
the
scoring
2.
points with Aaron.
Done and done.
All right. So what I like to do is we have the winner.
Yes.
Boop,
Some
boop.
guitar
I'm gonna
riff,
hit.
winner guitar riff?
Oh, come on.
No. There we go.
All right. Yeah,
So-
okay. We're going with number 2. That's
Yeah.
the way it's going to be. All right, everybody relax. Let's keep going.
Okay, so I just have my little notes up in the top. And normally, if you have more time, I want you to make like at least 10 or 20 different thumbnails, just actually writing out the containers, actually putting the words in your own handwriting inside the containers. Because often, the first concept you make is shitty. Like,
Oh, wait. I forgot to warn everybody. Parental advisory, strong language contained therein. All right, keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, you can take the girl to the trailer park. Yes, so like if you ever like had a design like, oh, make a coffee logo, right? I get so annoyed when they're like, oh, let's put a coffee bean in it or a coffee cup, like all the more like obvious ideas. So I think it's a really good experiment to just kind of do a Frankenstein of like a bunch of different resources from all the things in the thumbnails that you admire the most, and then make like a little design baby out of
Whoa.
all the rest, right? Versus just going with the first or the second idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're just going to do a Big Daddy version, right? So let's go ahead and make this even smaller.
She does her own voices. She doesn't even need my little box here.
And a little smaller. And let's go ahead and put some big bitch fucking letters on here. Okay, so we want to go ahead and we want to put in some guides because I'm using Photoshop. So it's use the amazingness that is Photoshop. Get some guides in the middle because that middle line is super important to make sure that all of your containers are staying aligned.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're just going to start drawing boxes, man. And
Adam,
I'm using just
Every
the
time
shift
Dina
tool.
swears, I think you need to like play one kind of sound effect for it to emphasize it. Like go brrr, something like that. Every time she swears,
All right.
some a little heavier than that. But yeah, okay, keep going, Dina. Sorry.
It's okay. All right, so now we're going to do an arc. Arcs are really hard. This is the number one complaint I get from the people that I train and coach over at patreon.com/Lettershoppe. I'll tell you, it's a fucking bitch.
Now she's gonna do that on purpose. Come on.
All right. So what I'll do as a key, if you want to draw a really long line, and I get comments a lot like, how are your lines so clean? It's like, I think my lines are wobbly as fuck. But the trick here, is to lock your wrist and then move your arm like this in order to draw a really long line versus using your wrist, because this will just hurt you. This is how you strain out your hand.
Yeah.
So you're
Good
going to
tip.
see me do a nice
The
arc
windshield
here.
wiper is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoom,
There you
right?
go.
That looks
So-
like something else, though.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Adam.
Do like half a rainbow.
Okay.
Oops, I did it in the same layer. Boop.
Was it freehand?
Yeah, so I just did that freehand, and I'm just going to mirror it to try to get the perfect arc.
Nice. Hey, Dina, people are asking what kind of tablet you're using.
Oh, she already
using
answered that. You
Yeah.
people.
iPad
They keep
Pro.
asking.
iPad Pro.
Yeah.
With the Apple Pen.
AstroPad to connect it to Photoshop. Okay, guys?
Yes.
All right.
All right.
That's a nice
Mercy.
arc, man.
Yeah, it is.
Thank
Holy
you.
cow.
It's like I do this for a living or something.
Something
right?
like that. You should join the perfect circle drawing contest. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
There's this contest where people get up and they draw a perfect circle with freehand. And there's some champions that are able to do this. And it's swinging the entire arm how they're able to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I think I just got lucky, to be honest. All right, so I'm duplicating the line. Obviously, it's not syncing up. Like it feathers out and gets a little bit skinny at the end. So we just fix that by just transforming it so it's even. And again, this might be a little bit too rainbowy. So again, I should just edit it. Transform tool. All right, so I'm duplicating the line. Obviously, it's not syncing up. Like it feathers out and gets a little bit skinny at
Right.
the end. So fix that by just transforming it so it's even. And again, this might be a little bit too rainbowy. So again, I should just edit it. Transform tool. All right, so I'm duplicating the line. Obviously, it's not syncing up. Like it. By the way, I'm hearing an audio loop of what I just said. Every 10 seconds, it's repeating, just as a heads up.
Somebody's computer is speakers on. That's why you're hearing the echo.
I was like, what?
Hey, are you still hearing it?
No, it went away.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Who's that?
Right.
Who's the offender? Adam, is that you? Who's doing that?
I don't know. I don't know.
You look really guilty, dude.
Dude, I'm just watching the show. Everything's going great, guys.
All right. Everything is going pretty good right now.
Yeah, we're just
Dina's
I already
audio
forgot
loop is
my
weird.
thing. All right, boop boop. And I think I'm gonna change. Yeah, I'm gonna change my mind on this guy. I think instead of having it bloated like this piece, I'm gonna have it diagonal. Because I want to do some script. Because script is fucking beautiful. You can never go wrong with scripts. Seriously. All right. So with script, so all these different containers, there's rules. Like the bottom line is called the baseline and the top line is called the cap height. So it's just the bottom of the letters and we're the top of the letters. But with script, since we're using lowercase and uppercase letters, we need a couple different lines. So we have our cap height, we have our baseline, and we need the X height. The X height is the top of your lowercase letters. So the top of the lowercase X, for example, is a good way to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Most X heights just go directly in the center or they go a little bit below, like 2/3. Boop, boop, boop. I'm just taking forever drawing these little boxes, but at least my lines look somewhat straight, so that makes me feel good. All right, we need, and I'm just going to duplicate this box.
Are you holding on shift when you draw your lines?
Not the diagonal.
Right.
I only hit shift when it's, up and down or
Right. Okay.
horizontal or vertical. Okay, and then the last guy is the shade. So I'm just going to go ahead, and since the container is literally shades, I'm going to mirror it. Oop. Flip a bitch.
That looks exactly like what Aaron is wearing right now.
I was gonna say, what kind of shades? Those look like Ray-Bans.
Yeah, Ray-Bans
they
for
do
life.
look like Ray-Bans.
Those aren't my Cholo brand.
I love that he just said cholo. Okay.
He can say that.
Yeah, if you're Spanish, you can say
Yeah,
it.
he can say it. Yeah,
You guys can't say it, so.
Yeah. The other day I called myself a spick on
Oh my
Live.
God, we're just going there now.
And I was so like I was trying to say like specifically, and I kept saying, but then I spick, and then I spick, and then I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so white passing, I'm not gonna get away with this. Like this isn't gonna work out for me. Last name's Rodriguez. Don't worry about it. I am Puerto Rican. I can say it, but it doesn't mean that you guys should say it. Okay.
Don't say it.
So now that I have my containers, I'm just going to keep my little phrase up here, mostly because I can't spell. So I want to make sure.
Just make sure you spell it correctly.
Yeah, seriously. Like,
All right.
I can't tell you how many times I've posted something on Instagram and totally misspelled something or put the apostrophe in the wrong spot or something, and people have to like call me out. It's only happened once or twice with clients, but
Now,
right.
the internet is asking us to make sure you spell the future without an E.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I was going to ask about that. We should take it off.
Let's take it off.
Okay. I'm just adding a group and getting organized in my layers here. Okay.
Nice.
All right, so just want to make sure everything's centered.
You know, I can tell you've done this quite a few times because of the way you're talking about this and the speed in which you're moving. And if you're new to hand lettering, guys, just relax. Dina's been doing this for a while. She's had thousands of hours of practice here, so it's going to seem really easy. And that's the point. Like, how you know an expert is good is because they make it look really easy. If she were struggling right now, we were like, oh, I don't know. But that doesn't mean that you have to be that fast.
The struggle will happen. We're just drawing boxes. All right.
Okay, it's going to get real in a bit.
It's going to get real. All right. So
cool.
right now we just want to do what's called the skeleton. So this is something that is a mixture of your handwriting and lettering. So we don't need to quite like freak out over like the width of the letters and if it's going to have a serif or the licks or the ligatures or any of that stuff. We just want to go ahead and figure out, is it going to be capitalized or is it going to be title case? That's all that we're doing. Okay. And then also trying to figure out if we want wider letters or more condensed letters. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and write it. I think I want to have it in script. So there's
And in a little bit, we'll check in on Emmanuel when he gives me the thumbs up. So when he's ready, we'll see what he's doing.
Okay, so since we're removing the E, a nice little trick to figure out what you're putting on the arc is just by counting. So we have our middle line here in the middle. So the future is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. So that means that this middle line is actually where the T would be. So I will just start from the inside and draw the T and then work my way out. Now for this, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using a nice bold condensed sans serif style. So I'm going to make sure that my letters are taller than they are wide, which is why it's called condensed. And I'm also going to give myself a little extra kerning just so I can really have the future nice spread out, because I probably want to add a drop shadow. So that way, the further away your letters are, the more readable they are when you use something like a drop shadow. If you're not going to use a drop shadow, you can put them really tight. Okay, so we're just doing normal. I'm not going to worry about. And then also, that's a little trick. You want to rotate your canvas, whether that's your iPad like me, or you just have a traditional piece of paper. Rotate it as you draw it, so that way your letters actually go along the arc. If you try to keep all your letters straight, it kind of gives it a wonky feeling. And that's why people have such a struggle with drawing things on an arc.
Like you would do that if you're drawing traditionally with a board in front of you. You rotate the paper so it moves with the natural arc of your hand as opposed to drawing vertically, right?
Yep. And then like even with my iPad, I'm just like physically moving it.
That's what you're doing? Okay.
All right, get the U in there.
And is your connection to your Mac or your computer is wireless, or are you tethered?
I'm tethered right now, mostly because my router is on the other side of the house. So if I'm in the living room, just like chilling, rewatching Seinfeld for the 1,000th time and drawing, then it works amazing wirelessly to my computer. But since my computer's so far away from the router, it works better.
I see.
Yeah, but it's pretty sweet. It does work really nice. With
now I see. I think it worked out really well that we dropped the E because the T is right in the center and it's like a strong vertical.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I like it.
We are too.
Is so bright. All right, so same thing. Is so. So this is lucky. Both words are both two letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be super symmetrical, which is nice. But notice I'm still working from the inside out.
Uh-oh.
What are you yelling about, Aaron?
No, nothing, sorry. I didn't know I said that out loud, sorry.
You're like, uh-oh, I screwed it up again. As a little hint, for O's, because I know people have wonky O's, what I do is I just draw 2 lines matching the width of what that O is going to look like, and then just do the top half and then the bottom half. I find that much easier than just trying to do that, especially when you're first starting out.
Right, good tip.
All
I think we're all going to become hand lettering experts right after this show. Watch out.
remember, I'll give you free critiques, bro.
There
And I'll
you
like
go.
go ahead and I'll bring it into Photoshop. I'll physically write notes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes because I'm super nitpicky. So I'm like, oh, your kerning's 5 pixels off. The X height is this much off or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way it's like tangible advice on how to fix it instead of just be like, I don't like it. Like, that's not helpful. Okay, so the future is so bright. All right, now we get to some sweet script. I think I'll just do a traditional varied weight script. So start with the B. I'm a big fan of having all my script letters on an axis, which just is the diagonal.
Right.
Because it's kind of italic for you typography nerds out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you always like to have the first capital letter a little bit bigger and a little bit lower than the rest of the lowercase letters.
Why is that?
Because typically when you have more than one phrase that's script, you have these really ugly negative space pocket in between the capital letter and
Oh,
the
I see.
So unless you have something like an L or something that you can do a lick off of, it can kind of be awkward. So you kind of center the B to the lowercase letter so it compensates for that negative space.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know some of you are like, what the fuck did she just say? I'll show you what I mean.
Look, I just want to say something. Whoever's a heavy mouth breather, you guys calm down. I can hear you breathing.
It's Erica.
It's Emmanuel.
Right up in the-
You caught me, Skippy.
All right, guys. I'm trying to focus here, and it's like, is this turning you on, Emmanuel? You like hand lettering? Yeah. Okay. It's so
That's
you're so
why.
hot, Dina.
Thank you.
The way you talk about
Okay.
ligature and licks.
Keep
Fucking
doing
on
that, Dina.
fire.
All right.
Okay, so as I'm doing the script letters, I'm not going to do any extensions. So the ascender or the descender. So the descender for this G, for example, would lick over here, but I'm not going to draw it because I don't know what negative space I'm working with. The same thing with the H, we have the ascender. So this is the
Oh, I
X height,
see.
right? But anything
I see.
above the X height, ascender. Anything below the baseline, descender.
You're so clever, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I didn't make up these rules,
Dude, that's a hot tip right there. Hold on, I gotta
Yeah.
ring you a bell for that. There we go. That was a hot tip, you guys.
Yeah.
In case you guys don't know what she's talking about, so Dina, you keep working.
All right.
And she's not gonna draw the bottom of the G nor the top of the H because this is where the flourishes and how you finish off the letters can help to fill in the negative space. As this is her first sketch, she's still leaving that open. Now, normally what I would have done, being the amateur that I am, I would draw those things in and then say later on, "Ugh, I need to cover that space," and you're just constantly reworking it unnecessarily. Good tip.
All right.
Oh, Adam. Oh, yeah? How do you like them apples? I can double bell you.
No, you got
All right,
Yeah,
dude.
double bell all day.
Battle here.
So this looks a little weird right now. So I have the G, which I have a feeling I'm probably going to do a traditional lick. I have the H, which obviously the so is going to run into it. So I'm going to have to give it more space. And I can already tell with my brain hole that this P needs to be lower, like the speed, to kind of give it that center focus with
Yeah.
the script lettering. So I already know that's going to happen. So that's why I have this weird, like, kind of J looking thing over here on the side. But I'm not going to add these licks until I do the rest of my wireframe.
Got
And then
it.
I'll go ahead and I'll add extensions because I
Wait,
don't
wait.
know.
Did you just call this a wireframe?
Yeah.
You're like also talking like web talk here. Your header
I
one.
come from a traditional
Oh my
design.
gosh. Okay. All right.
So I'll call it like a blueprint because it's actually like I'm using a blue pencil,
Yeah.
wireframe, skeleton. It's all the same,
Mhm.
to me at least. Okay, so I get so nervous I forget what we need. All right. All right, so I think instead of having a traditional box here, I'm gonna have it match this negative space because this is gonna look out like this. So I'm gonna have a weird pocket right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the transform tool because I'm using the amazing power of Photoshop. Just go ahead, do that. Since we need is obviously bigger and more letters than is so, same thing, I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bit wider to compensate for that. What happened? Come here, baby girl.
Now, while you're doing this, I was hunting around on Creative Market looking for the Retro Supply Company hand lettering brushes, and I'm not finding it. I see a lot of vector brushes, but not Photoshop brushes.
Maybe he only has it on his website, so it might just be Retro Supply Co.
Okay, let me look up that so that our audience isn't scrambling around looking for it themselves. Okay.
All right, so same thing we need. This is a little complicated because it's not so nice like is so is 4 characters. So in this case, we want to count the space. So WE space, so that would be 3 character spaces, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's half of 7? 3.5. So 3.5. So that means the N needs to start right at this line. And that's how I'm doing that math. So again, counting the space, half of 7 is 3.5. So it would be, so pretty much at the half mark where the space is where the middle is.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go over that super amazing math I just did. So. So I just went ahead and I think I'm going to have this go all the way up. And if I can get away with using the shift button for when I'm doing a straight line, I will totally do that.
Mm-hmm. No shame in that.
Nope. See if we can fit it. Oh, we're going to fit it. Perfect. Oh my God.
Nice.
When a plan comes together.
When that happens, though, I get so excited.
Hold on. Before Emmanuel starts breathing heavy again, let's look at this here. Okay. Wow.
Make these shades a little bit bigger. All right. So since we're going to be doing letters inside of a container, we need to have a margin for our container. So I'm actually going to go ahead and draw almost like if it was like the brim.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not actually going to have a brim. I'm just doing this so that way my letters don't touch the outside of my container.
That makes sense.
Mirrored. Just go ahead and duplicate that. Okay.
Did you just do a quick copy paste there?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I just hit Option, dragged it.
Oh, option drag. I got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is where it's going to be hard. Okay. So we're doing, what's the word? Shades. We need shades. So shades is 6 words, so 3 letters on each glass. So this is where we're really going to have to funkadelically like put these letters, and they're going to be high-fiving each other and just having a good old time. So this might take a couple of experiments. Or I might just land it on the first one. Let's see what happens. Oh, so I see an idea for a connection. I have a crossbar on the A and a crossbar on the H, so I could just be like this and have it be a double crossbar.
Mm-hmm.
So that might work. It's a little off balance, but I'll keep it for now.
Okay.
And then I'll do the D and E and the S and the same on a different one.
Now, Emmanuel, are you almost ready for us to kind of see what you're working through?
Yeah, almost.
Almost. Okay.
Almost.
So the
I say we
pressure
should
is
just cut to the screen
on.
right now. Let's see your screen.
It's
Dude.
looking pretty good.
Let's see Emmanuel's screen.
He's probably so much
Alright.
further than me.
He's doing all one typeface. He's doing just a script on a slanted baseline. Okay, cool. You keep working on your thing. We'll check in from time to time. So everybody's got their own techniques. It's great to see that you guys are approaching this from 2 very different ways. wait, Adam, are we gonna get sued for this?
We're gonna get flagged for copyright. No, it's good.
No, it's all good.
We won't.
You could do that. It's fine.
I'll do this.
Alternative
pulling,
version.
Yeah, you're pulling the old Vanilla Ice thing. It's like it's a totally different song now. I prefer you just do the original or not at all.
That was from the movie 7 Mile.
All right. Boop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we know what we're writing, I can get rid of this guy over here. Now that
Now
I
you
know
know
to
that you
spell
spelled it.
things.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, I can have this fill the page. I'm gonna use Shift Option, so that way it centrally gets bigger. The transform tool.
What is your canvas size again, please?
1350 by 1080, which is the tall aspect ratio size for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Instagram stories, it's 1920 by 1080. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So now I'm just gonna like figure out this layout and just kind of click it in a little bit. So I went ahead and turned down the opacity on my wireframe. Are you in the same layer? Do I have to yell at you? Okay.
Now I'm curious, would you normally want "is so" to be as big as it is, since it's kind of an inconsequential word?
Oh yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Right now I just want to get my spacing in here.
Mhm.
Because I know I have this H situation that's gonna touch them. So I'm gonna have to make it smaller regardless.
Right. I almost forgot about that. It's like, why is the future so Brian?
It's so Brian. So yeah, let's go ahead and make that smaller. It's just if you spend a little extra time in the wireframe stage or the skeleton phase, you're it's gonna take so much less time in the end. Unless you're just the kind of person who just like always does the same typography style, then you could just probably just hit a ground running and do a sheet. But I think it's a little harder when you're messing with different styles because you want to make sure that it's most importantly readable. So typically when people just do all script, I don't know what his thing looked like. I'm not watching the live stream, so if it is all script, I'm not dogging your thing. It's just sometimes a little hard to read. So things that a serif varied weight is actually the easiest to read for lettering. So something to keep in mind, especially if you have one of those phrases that's like 30 words long, which I've unfortunately had to do many times. Okay. We have everything. So I'm doing this in phases so I can like show the process GIF later. So I'm just duplicating my groups here. Oop.
Hey, people must be loving the feed right now because we started out with a little under 300 people watching live. Now on YouTube, we're up to it just changed, 396.
What's up, 396?
Yeah, what up? What up?
Nice.
All right. Okay.
So
before we do that, I actually found Creative Market. Let's cut to that screen. So you were right. I just was pretty lame at looking for it. Here it is. It's $39. The hand lettering toolkit by Retro Supply Company. I will provide you guys the link because there's an affiliate thing going on here, but you guys can go ahead and buy it anytime you want. It doesn't really matter. All right, keep going.
All right, so now I'm going to play with licks. So I added an ascender with my H and my T, and then I'm going to just play with how to fill up the space over here. I could just do a traditional one, which is just a curve. I could do something like this, but that still leaves this here. So then it's like, oh, I'd have to do that, and that's just a little bit too much.
Right.
So this is why it needs to be its own step. So I think I am just going to go for the traditional lick. And then for this H, I could do the same thing where I did with the T and the H up in and just kind of have it pivot. Hold on. And have it kind of connect.
Oh, I see. There's a little ligature you got going on there.
Yosh. But it's kind of ruining the so.
Right.
So it actually might be best to leave the H alone and then just kind of use this to counterbalance the B. So it fills it up. Ooh, and look at that swirl.
Was that Aaron saying, ooh, nice?
Yep.
Have this curl. We're going to have this be super curly cutesy.
Oh, boy.
That's from John Roth there. My
soundboard. A couple
soundboard.
of crooning. This bee is running away. I don't want it to be. Okay, that fills up the space nicer too. All right, script, everything's in place. All right, I think we're ready to add weight. So I'm gonna go ahead, lower the opacity on this and redraw it. The trick with lettering is drawing it a couple different times, especially if you're newer to lettering. The first time you draw something, it's gonna come out awful, but it's really important that you redraw it because we have some really cool pattern recognition software in our brains. And you can only notice a mistake when you're redrawing it because you're kind of reactivating that muscle memory, that eye-hand connection. So that way you can see your errors a little bit more clearly instead of just using the same thing and just tweaking it and erasing and drawing and erasing. You're actually doing yourself a huge disservice because, as we all know as designers, if you stare at anything for too long, it just is meaningless. Like the words don't look like words anymore. They seem like they're spelled wrong all the time, or you're not going to see like consistency errors like your kerning's off or the thicks and thins aren't the same. So redrawing is definitely recommended, especially in the skeleton phase. But we only have about 90 minutes, so I'm going to start to speed up here.
Okay.
All right. So as I'm redrawing this guy, I'm going to go ahead and just start to add weight as I go. So go ahead, redrawing it.
Emily Wright is saying, it's like watching a genius.
Oh my God, that's so fucking nice.
All right, guys, for the last time, is she using a Cintiq or a Wacom? She is not. She's using an iPad Pro, and she's using an AstroPad connected. It's tethered, and the AstroPad app allows it to work as a Wacom tablet, so you get basically double the functionality. So you can carry around your iPad, you can do all kinds of things with it, and it can also be used as a tablet. Now, in a future episode, I'm going to review the Wacom, the Cintiq, and the AstroPad, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that, but more on that later.
Okay. So I'm really good with script because script is always the most fun to play with. So I just added varied weight strokes to all the downward strokes. So if we just really closely look at this really blurry lettering, so this is a lick. So this is the terminal. So I'm doing a traditional lick terminal. So this is going up, up, up. It's thin. It just stays the weight of my pen. Bum, 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 bum. And then the stem goes down, so that's why it's thick. Same thing here, thick. And then this H, I see people having a really hard time with bowls, like H's or C's or E's, anything that's rounded, because they don't know where the thickness starts or stops. So this is going up, 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 and then right when it goes down, that's when you add the weight. So it starts to sliver down, go up, 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 down thick. It takes a little getting used to, but once you got it for life. Okay.
Oh, I'm curious here. The E, how come the top of the E on the bowl isn't thicker? Why is it thicker at the bottom?
Because it depends on how you draw the E. Like if you start from here, but if you start from here, it's down. So it depends on like how people draw it. Most people draw an E like this, so this makes sense that it's down. You could probably get away with there being no weight here, so it's a stylistic decision. But a lot of people will draw the E from the right side of it and then go up and then down.
I
so
see.
people just do it for readability.
Ah, okay.
All right, so now we're going to be doing a condensed, and I think I'm going to do a serif because it just looks badass. So, and I'm going to add some spurs and stuff. So I'm using my skeleton as the middle ground. So notice when I added weight, I used this almost as a center point, and then I'm going to be adding weight on top of it.
I see. So you're fattening up that stroke.
And the key to doing a really nice serif is draw the bottom line of the serif first, and then connect it. Don't be doing like this, because it's gonna come out kind of funky. You want to do it, break it up into steps.
Okay.
Straight line, and then in here. Straight line, and then in here. Straight line, and then in there. Okay. Same thing. Just breaking up into steps instead of me just doing the U like a bubble letter, like in middle school on your composition notebooks. Just do it in steps. And just really trying to make sure that the line's staying consistent, because we're doing a mono weight style.
And do you find that making shorter strokes allows the strokes to be smoother and cleaner? Is that the idea?
It's more of like helps me with positioning, and that, like, it helps my eyeball kind of connect the lines, because things like U's and O's and stuff, I usually put dots or lines just because it's so easy for one side to get wobbly. Like if you're right-handed, the left side of your O's are always going to be weird.
Got it.
Same thing if you're left-handed. Yeah.
Now we're going through this sketching ideation, the wireframe, all that kind of stuff, and eventually, do you vectorize this?
Personally, I'm not a big vector fan.
Okay.
I like to keep the integrity of the handmade by using a raster program like Photoshop, because the brushes I use mimic traditional tools like microns. I don't want to put it into Illustrator to use the image trace tool or to just use the pen tool to retrace it, because I don't want it to look like a font. I want it to look as handmade as possible.
I see.
That authentic brand thing that I'm all about.
Now, can we talk about business a little bit while you're working here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so she's going through and doing the serif with kind of very angular serifs. That's cool. So if you you're a professional artist, how much can you expect to charge a client for doing something like what you're ultimately going to finish for us?
It really depends. Do you want to pay me for this graphic?
Emmanuel might. I'm just asking for him. I'm just like, so for the people who are like, wow, this is super cool. I've always liked lettering. I didn't know this was a thing that you could do. What kind of money can somebody expect to earn by doing something like this?
Well, in my first year, I hit 100K.
Whoa! Wait, hold on. Where's my where's the cash register stuff? Yeah, there we go. All right. Oh my goodness, your first year you did 100K?
Yeah, my first year, full-time freelance as a hand lettering artist, which I did not know was a thing even when I was doing it. I was just like, who's gonna pay me to do letters? Apparently, a lot of people. So like doing commercial work is obviously the biggest bang for your buck. Because it's original artwork. So not only do you get to sell the design time to create it, but the usage rights along with it. Something you can't always do with graphic design.
Right.
I didn't know that since I came from a design background.
Right. So this is like now in the realm of art and illustration, so that you could charge for usage.
Totally.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Okay. How old were you when you started that first year?
What year is it? It's like 2014.
Okay.
2015, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Oh, that angle's off.
And is the demand and the money that's being paid for hand lettering work like this, is it on the rise? Is it leveled out? What are you seeing?
I mean, it's definitely gotten more competitive because there's so much educational materials out there, mostly my educational materials.
Right, you're competing against yourself now.
I've created my own competition, right? Yeah. That people have my style, but I'm lucky where I don't have that one fixed style. I change it up all the time. So
Right.
you can try to catch up to me. Good luck. But yeah, like there's so many nice revenue sources from lettering. You have commercial work. You can create your own products, both digital and tangible, like creating hand letter t-shirts, caps, coasters, really whatever you want to do. And then for me, I'm preaching Patreon like crazy because I made an extra $60K last year just from that platform.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. We're gonna get on Patreon then or something.
Yeah, you guys should. I'm surprised you're not on Patreon. What are you doing? What are you doing?
We just patronize people. We're not really on Patreon.
Well, for those of you who might be a little unfamiliar, I don't work for Patreon. I'm not getting commissions off of talking about Patreon. They're just a really cool platform. And I think that it's so possible to make a living off of your art, no matter what kind of art that is. So why not take advantage of a platform that was literally built for you?
I think that's the purpose and the mission behind Jack's company, right?
Yeah, and Jack is just so cool. You know, I know him. He runs Patreon, and he also was an amazing indie band called Pomplamoose. And that's how he kind of got his YouTube fandom, which is amazing that like a fellow creative runs this platform. Like you don't have to worry about Facebook buying it out and fucking it up.
Right.
I hate you, Instagram. I hate you.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Tell me more about why you hate Instagram. I will go on a rant. But before
Okay.
I do, let me talk about Patreon. So you have built a community around your art, whether or not it's like a donation type of thing. Where it's like, hey, all of my content is always going to be free. But if you're really enjoying it, go ahead and send me $1 a month. And then maybe for an extra $5 a month, I show you more behind the scenes or, you know, especially if you're an artist, like the sketchbook process, or maybe I'll do show you time lapses of my work, that kind of thing. There's tons of artists that use it, but it's really cool because not only as an artist can use it, but like podcasts, writers, like really anybody who's creating content can really utilize this platform. And that's where I have like my lettering workbook. So you get a new lettering workbook every single month. It's just $7 a month. It's super fucking cheap. Versus like if you buy it on my website, it's double the amount. So you actually get a discount by becoming a member, which is nice.
Excellent.
And you have things like coaching, critiques, and then we have weekly live lettering workshops where I'm just showing you how to make really cool stuff. It's like today we're going to Sharpie on a banana, you know, or like we're going to use the new grin bundle from Stefan Kuntz, or like, you know, just trying out different digital resources and traditional. But yeah, I'm actually teaching a course next year on Patreon because no one's done that yet.
Right. And now you and I had mentioned the reason why I wanted to set this date up with you in terms of this lettering thing is because originally you were going to do an in-person lettering workshop, right? So when can we look forward to the next in-person lettering workshop that you're going to put on?
Well, I think I'm still going to do something in the end of July over at the Wacom Experience Center here in downtown Portland. Just because those guys are amazing and they pay for free food. So I'm going to keep going there. So we might do something the first week of July. And it's like the weekend before TypeCon, so you can get double the type goodness, which is nice if you're in Portland. And that's just going to be I think probably like a 4-hour lecture talking about the basics of lettering and then how to monetize lettering and get into the marketing side of it too.
Okay. So more business stuff as well. Cool.
There's enough workshops that are like, this is how you draw the letter A. It's like, how do I make bank on that letter A though? How do I get people to know me, right?
Hey, so I got another question, and feel free not to answer any question I throw at you, okay? So if you started out your first year and you already knocked it out of the park with 100,000, and now everybody's like running out trying to figure out how to do this, today, how does the money break down percentage-wise? So you said that some money's coming in through Patreon. The rest of it, is it commission or products? Can you help us to understand, basically, we looked at 2017, percentage-wise, how is it breaking down for you?
Nowadays, I make the majority of my money from not client work.
Okay.
So I'm in this really sweet spot where I just draw whatever I fucking want, and then I get paid enough money to pay my bills. And I didn't know that was possible. So that's like using things like Patreon. And then every time I make a lettering workbook, I sell it somewhere else. And so that's amazing commission. Affiliate links are really good. Getting into that YouTube game. This close, just turning on that ad rev button. So close.
We just turned it on.
Yeah, like I need a couple more viewer hours, although I met the minimum sub requirements.
Okay. So guys, if you want more of this stuff and you want to go to Dina's YouTube channel, which is at what?
It's Dina Rodriguez.
Dina Rodriguez. So that's the one thing that's not at Lettershoppe. So
yeah,
I believe Yeah, you go to youtube.com/C/Dina Rodriguez, just the way it sounds, and you'll find her YouTube channel. Let's get her a couple thousand more hours of views here.
Please. I
Let's
want to
do
turn
this.
that ad rev on. And then also, there's good content because that's where we have, my personal vlog, where I'm just kind of like showing you all the lessons learned. If I have a bad client experience, walking you through that, how to do things, how to charge for something like usage rights, just a lot not a lot of people know about, how to practice the right way, just a bunch of different topics. And that's also where I host that Women of Illustration series.
Right.
Where I support new and upcoming female illustrators and interview them on a weekly basis.
Now, I've watched your channel before. Dina keeps it real, guys. There's a lot of YouTubers, I'm not saying us, I'm just saying other people, who really try to do this really manicured thing and everything is super edited. I think she's really raw and speaks from the heart, and you can tell just on this live stream like how real she keeps it. So definitely recommend her channel. Go check it out. Dina Rodriguez on YouTube.
Aw, thanks for the shout out.
You're welcome.
It's such a new platform, and if you followed the brand for a few years, I keep changing it up. I'm a big fan of the beta test. Like, I was all about Twitch like a few years ago because they had the creative section, and then moved on from that, and then went to Patreon, and then saw some really nice dollar signs coming in like right when I started, which is amazing because it was like an extra $2,000 salary a month just from that one platform.
Okay, I want to just put a pin on that. I want to talk about that a little bit while you keep working
let's do
here.
it.
I mean, if you start on Patreon and you're doing something good and you're educating your community and providing a lot of value, and you're pulling in $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year. And I go around and I speak in all parts of the world where $24,000 a year would be a ginormous salary just in of that just alone, okay? Because when we were in Egypt, I think we're talking about like if you earn $5,000 or $6,000 US a year, that was a pretty decent salary. So we got to start thinking about this. Now, I invited Adam in on the show, and he's in the background there fidgeting around with his headphones, but the idea is, the music industry has changed. A lot of the things have changed, and so now as artists and as designers, we need new avenues to express our creativity, and the community that's out there will support you, but you have to kind of build that bridge. You have to give value, you be genuine, and you're going to connect with a certain group of people. Adam, are you getting any kind of ideas from this, just talking about the whole Patreon thing?
I like the idea of Patreon. I don't really know much about it though. I mean,
Well, a good starting point is just like create an account and to start following some people in your industry to get kind of like ideas for how it works. I think of it as like a free newsletter, right? Like MailChimp charges you based like most email providers do. They charge you based on how many subscribers you have.
Right.
So I have about 30,000 subscribers on MailChimp, and my freaking monthly bill sucks. But you can have a free newsletter on Patreon. So someone can just follow you on Patreon and get your content just like if it was a newsletter. So that's like providing that free value, whether it's behind the scenes content or it's educational or it's an actual physical product launch. And then it gets people, and it's incentivized for them just to hit the button, which is always right on the right side of the screen, for them to donate $1 or $5 or $10 to get more information.
Right.
Because you hook them in with the free content, the freemium model, right? And then they stay longer because they probably fall in love with your glowing personality.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, right? And then they want to support you.
Right.
And it's that whole rule of reciprocity. Like, you buy me a coffee, I buy you a coffee.
Yeah.
I give you a tutorial,
So-
maybe you'll throw me a buck.
Adam, go ahead.
this might sound stupid, and
It's
it probably
going to.
yeah. So Patreon, if I went there and I looked you up, would there be a ton of videos of you providing content? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
I'm
So
totally wrong.
yeah, for me, there's videos. So it's like people get early access to new episodes of like Women of Illustration and my blog. And then I do the live streams, which you can do through YouTube or this other platform that they have a third-party thing with. I forget what it's called, probably because it's not very good. And then you can just have written articles, and you can like add pictures, just like a blog post, just like
Right.
Squarespace style action of like add text box, heading, picture. I like to use it like almost like an Instagram type of thing with more information because it's still chronological.
But you hate Instagram.
Oh, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It just happens to be where all my followers are at. But even though they're following me, less than 1% of them see my content. So that's great. So that's not frustrating at all.
Have you hit any lulls in your business in the 4 years since you
Yeah.
exploded?
I mean, for sure. I mean, last year I was barely getting any client work at all. and I wasn't about to like work at McDonald's or get a day job because I feel like I'm unhireable at this point. Because once you're in charge of your own business for a long time, it's like impossible to go backwards.
Sure.
So I needed to fucking figure stuff out. Like bills are coming, the clients stop calling. I have no other revenue sources, and that's what I ended up starting Lettering Adventures. That and a mixture of this book I got published, which I got totally fucked on, royalty wise. I was like, all right. So I'm like, I'm gonna fucking self-publish my own stuff, and I'm gonna make all the freaking money. And then just got really creative and started doing things like I got a part-time teaching job at a local college. So it's like I had my failures of not getting enough client work, but I figured out other ways to make money to where I'm making way more money than I was from client work. I'm making way more money with way less effort, especially with digital products. So highly recommend.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's a dangerous world out there.
The internet's a magical place for now. So let's enjoy it before they ruin it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm still just adding weight to this guy.
You know, I know that people are going to be saying this, but when you're drawing the script typeface and you're doing the G's and the B's, I could not help but notice how smooth you were able to draw that. Do you have any kind of smoothing on in Photoshop?
No.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But I think it's also the brush too makes it look smoother because it's such a bumpy brush, which I like. If I were to use like a micron, you would see the bumps a little bit more, which I like because that's that whole handmade thing I was talking about.
Right.
If I go to micron,
You embrace it.
Yeah. So if I were to do this G, it's bumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And also it has some actual bump in there, and that's when you have to go in and like use a smaller brush.
I see, and refine it.
Mm-hmm.
I got something, Chris.
You got something. All right. Let's take a look at Emmanuel and see what he's done.
Yay!
Oh, very nice.
Ooh, that's good.
All right, keep doing your thing. I think you need to adjust some letter spacing there between the H and the T.
Yeah.
But I like the mixture of styles. It's got a kind of lyrical energy to it. Well done. He needs it to power his pencil, I think. Or maybe he's good now, Mark. All right, let's keep going. Now, typically, if you didn't have to talk to somebody while you're doing this, how long would something like this take for you to do, Dina?
Normally about 3 hours to
3
do
hours.
a piece, like 5 letters or more.
Mm-hmm.
Type of thing. But I normally do like a lot more illustration now with my lettering, so it can take anywhere to like 5 hours. And
Now, you mentioned before that little of your income actually comes from client work. But
yeah, nowadays.
do you have a rep that gets you client work?
Nope.
Okay. How do people find you?
Well, if you type in hand lettering Portland into Google right now, I will be the first result on the first page.
Wow.
So I learned early on that content is queen, and that I just wanted to, there's so many things to learn as a business owner, like aside from like the actual technique of the service that you're offering.
Yeah.
And so many other people didn't know how to do those things. So I just naturally started to teach as I went. So I was creating blog articles, was writing a ton, just to better solidify my own knowledge while helping like lift people's up with me. Since I was literally just learned the thing, I figured I was like probably like a perfect person to be able to teach that thing. And that is how I like grew my following, how, you know, first page of Google for the keywords, and really had like a content marketing strategy before I knew that was a thing. And that was definitely, I think, the key to any success I get for getting client work and people finding me. Because then you write articles and the other blogs find the articles and they talk about it, or they'll want to do an interview with me. And then that led to like doing podcast interviews. And now I'm doing 5 to 10 speaking events every year, traveling around the country. Haven't left the country yet, but I'm just psyched that I'm starting to get the main stage, which is like, what?
That's rad. Good for you. You deserve it.
Thank you.
You do, because you have that unique blend of personality, talent, charisma, and all that kind of stuff bundled up. I love that. I love how honest you are about everything too.
Yeah. I think it's just like you create the stuff that you wish existed, you know?
That's a good rule.
And that's just how every product I've created, every personal project is just like, oh, I wish that shirt existed. I'll just make it. And turns out other people thought that was a good idea too and wanted to buy it.
Right.
Or the course or whatever.
Now, before everybody on the internet starts going in on this and saying, "Oh, I'm going to be a lettering artist tomorrow, make $100,000 my first year," just realize like how dedicated Dina is in the kind of resources that she's providing. Take a look at this, guys. I'm on her website, on her blog here, right? So if you look at her blog, you can see that she's written a lot of articles. I was just scanning this. This is rad. And this is probably helping you out a lot with exposure, being a thought leader, being able to kind of warrant the main stage and command that. And I think that's awesome. So here's like 10 tools I use to run my lettering business. Do you remember that article that you wrote?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, my internet's super slow. Come on. Load up here. So there's a video component to it, talking about your digital tools. Guys, so she's a full-on, straight-up resource, and she's actually doing what she's saying, which is, I create the resources that I wish I had since it doesn't exist, and now she's got this whole community and that's going to support her, but also because they're getting a lot of value and knowledge from her. So iPad Pro accessories, so you can see it all here, and she's going to give you the pros and cons. The hand lettering toolkit, the link must be here. Boom, there it is. Well done.
Thanks.
All right.
Starting to do those shades lettering. I'm still gonna like bring all these pieces together, and the trick here too is like once you have it all kind of penciled in, you have to remove your containers because you'll really start to see your spacing errors once you remove those boxes. That's a mistake I see people make. Like they just like, oh, I'm gonna post it on Instagram. They turn the grids off and then they post it, and then you can see that they were using those grids as design elements and not as guides.
Right. Now, in this case, when you're trying to fill in that shape, do you try to make the letter forms conform to the outline of that shape or not at all?
Say, what do you mean? Say again.
Like the D, you could have made the top of the D more horizontal so that it kind of matches the shape of the sunglasses a little bit more. It doesn't look like you are, and I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Oh, I'll definitely, like, once I remove this guide, I'll probably end up doing a few things. But I didn't want to, now that you say that, it makes me want to do that.
I'm sorry.
No, don't fucking apologize. Like that, I was like, oh, you're right. I should do that. I'm going to try it.
Okay.
Don't fucking apologize.
I liked it. So, like, see if it's readable. I was trying to see if I could do, like, that kind of E, and then maybe I can have the S go in here. And have the E.
And you changed the E to make the letter forms fit better together? Is that the idea?
Yeah, because I didn't like that super straight line in the middle. I wanted to make it flow. Maybe I can make this D just kind of like... Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Here we go. Yay. So thanks for... Even though I didn't follow your advice, it led me to this decision, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Have you ever tried lettering anything before? Because I gave you some workbooks. Did you play around with them at all?
I looked through them. Unfortunately, my aspiration and my desire doesn't meet up with my actual hours in the day.
That makes sense.
I do sketch lettering all the time, not with the intention that you do it, obviously, but I play around. I'm known to draw a letter or two.
I want to see some letters.
Manuel, show her what I can do.
It's really good.
Show her my skills.
The ghostwriter.
Look, guys, cut to Emmanuel's screen for a second here. This is really my screen, guys, while we're talking and I'm doing the interview and all this. I'm actually lettering. This is not Emmanuel. I'm just pretending. See how I zoomed in and out like real quick?
Good job, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's amazing.
I can run a business, host a YouTube channel, and learn how to letter at the same time. Boom. All right, let's keep going.
All right, I like that so much better. Okay.
Now, Adam, what are you doing? Are you in your music recording studio? Where are you right now?
I am, yeah. I'm in my Electric Brain Studios. Fun fact, there's only one studio in my studios.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have, if you look outside, I have the amps and the drums and all the good stuff. It's fun times over here.
We can't really look outside, Adam, because it's locked to that camera.
I mean, if I let you.
If you let me, yeah.
Yeah, someday we'll do a tour.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Well, let's talk about gear for a second while Dina's working through this here. Adam, what kind of mic are you rocking right now?
This is I believe it's the SM7B.
It is. I recognize it.
Pretty classic. I thought I saw you with one of those.
And then you felt compelled to match me. You ran out and just got the same microphone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I said, as a music person and an audiophile myself, I wonder what Chris is using. You used to have an AT2030?
I don't use that anymore. I use what the pros use now, Adam.
Right.
Now, I noticed you called me out, I think, because I incorrectly labeled the microphone. I was missing a letter, I think, and you were quick to tag me on that. I think that was you. And
the
then,
SM7B.
yeah,
Was it the B? Yeah.
yeah, I think so. And then
Right,
Dina,
so-
what kind of gear are you rocking?
So I'm using a blue microphone,
Mm-hmm.
which is like super cheap, it's like $100, and a Logitech C920 webcam.
Mm-hmm. That's very popular.
Yeah.
Nice. And are you using that for all of your streams as well?
Yeah, although I did just buy like an actual DSLR camera just last week, and I'm happy to say that I officially hired my first employee
Wow.
as of 2 weeks ago. It's my fiance.
I like that. Keep the money in the family. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
And he was so funny. He was just like, "So do I just like ask you for money now?" And I was like, "I guess so." He's like, "So you like wear the pants?" I'm like, I guess so. It was just kind of like an interesting conversation. But yeah, he's my editor and videographer now. And so you'll start to see those quality uptick a lot on YouTube and on my blog and stuff.
Nice.
So
How's that work tax-wise?
we're still figuring it out. Like whether or not I think it'd be better if he was just a dependent on my taxes. No, seriously, like if a wife's a dependent, why can't a husband be? So when we get married in a couple months, he'll be a dependent. And then we thought that would be the biggest save versus having to do payroll taxes
Mm-hmm.
and put him on like officially on the biz.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you going to have him sign a prenup?
We've talked about it, yeah. Actually, I'm going to have him sign a
You
prenup.
should, yeah. You know, the cash cow here. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that we've talked about. Although he thought I was kidding the first time we brought it up. It was like a week after he proposed because it was
Yeah.
right around the eclipse. He proposed during the eclipse. It was very cute.
Mhm.
And I was like, you have to sign a prenup. I'm like, no, I'm not fucking kidding. But also, if you become a hella of a rock star or something like that, I can't get any of your money just in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, why not?
Ways.
It works both ways, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now we're trying to think about what to do now since he works for me and the way that we've done it. How would that work out? So we haven't nailed down the details,
Mhm.
but we got time. All right, so this is looking good. I went ahead and I took the grids off so I can get a better idea of what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try to fill in these gaps a little bit better. I can do this really easily with like doodles and stars and that kind of thing, but I think I want to add some filigree and and stuff. So the future is so bright, I think is and so could just have some Jesus lines.
What are Jesus lines? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Like God rays.
Yes. Some Jesus lines, some Jesus lines, depending where you live. Boop, boop, boop. Those are always really easy. And I knew that that shape would fit both the left and the right side. Even though there's more negative space on the left side, I'm not too worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
The future, and then we're going to do some filigree around the. So since we already have kind of this like round shape to our script, I could go ahead and just start to play with filigree and just start to see like what we can make to fill up that gap. And then I can angle that a little bit better. No, don't crop. Don't crop. Okay. And get that nice and balanced so that way we can fill up that space. And that actually worked out. I thought I'd have to draw that a few more times. That's what's up. But yeah, anytime you want to do filigree, a good rule of thumb is just do S's and just see what you can do in the extensions of the S's in order to fill up that space. That's a really good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or another common one is this one. So it's really either like a hook or an S or a J or something like that.
Mm-hmm. You're getting a
I
lot
have
of
a-
love right now from YouTube. I just want to let you know while you're working. Jules is saying, wow. Zahiro is saying, awesome, spelt in a funny way. And Jules is also saying, this is perfect for invitations. So what are some of the applications of hand lettering?
Oh gosh. I always think it's funny when people ask me that because I'm like, anywhere where there's type. But
Which is everywhere.
Which is everywhere, yeah. So like advertisements, T-shirts, apparel, wedding invitations, chalk mural installations, social media advertising gifts, TV commercials, like really anywhere you see text, billboards, like you can go ahead and make them a little bit more sexy by having them custom made.
Mm-hmm.
And I love lettering so much because it kind of fights that minimalistic trend that was happening for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like really detailed, it's rough, there's the imperfections, but that's what makes it interesting. It makes it more personable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like a great excuse to not try to be perfect with everything that you're trying to post online too. Like there always has to be a clear stopping point, or else you're just going to have a drawer full of a bunch of unfinished pieces. So if you follow me on anything I post like twice a day on Instagram, whether it's good or not, or if it's processed, it's just a picture of me and my dog, something, because I'm just trying to put out content rather than just like using things like imposter syndrome and shiny object syndrome and perfectionist syndrome from preventing me from actually making. And that's where I have that whole quantity over quality mindset. And then it's like you use social media as like a beta test, right? For like likes and comments and engagement. And then I know when I'm curating my portfolio on my website, something where quality should be the most important factor, I know exactly what kind of content is attracting that audience.
That's the message that I think we need to kind of reinforce here, that you as an artist and as a graphic designer, illustrator, that you feel, and what I'm hearing is it's more important for you to be consistent, to iterate, and just let go of all that hangups that designers have, that it needs to be perfect. Because while you're doing all this stuff, you're sharing all your imperfections, there's a whole community that's kind of watching you and learning from you and saying like, it's safe to like just try stuff. And yeah, today wasn't a good lettering day, tomorrow will be a better day. And in the meantime, you're just, I don't know, you're just going to the bank and take money out. I love that.
Pretty much.
I love it. It's awesome. I think Emmanuel just left the building, started his own Patreon account, but maybe we'll find him later.
Peace, man.
I got a question for Dina, actually.
Oh, you do? Go ahead, man.
Yeah. Does your animation and 3D background has affect to your work today? As a, did you take inspiration for that?
I mean, I think anything that's design related is helpful. I think movement is really important, especially when you're trying to, because I always like 2D animation where you like physically have to draw every fucking leg, like moving up and down. I thought that daunting shit was just so fun. So it helps you think about your work in a different way because you're thinking about foreground, background, how the things are going to interact with each other versus just kind of focusing on one element at a time. So I think that aspect of animation was super helpful. And then also GIFs are really popular. So I'm starting to actually do little animations here and there, nothing too crazy, just using the timeline tool in Photoshop to make like a neon sign or just have like letters jump every once in a while, which is really great for engagement too on social.
Emmanuel, people don't know this, but are you from Milan?
Yeah.
Can you say, can you welcome people from Milan who are watching? Because we do have some fans in Italy.
Yeah, I'm actually from Bergamo, which is near Milan. And yeah, welcome guys.
No, I mean, say it in Italian, dude. I can say welcome guys, come on.
Ciao ragazzi, benvenuti allo show qui a The Future. Spero che vi piaccia questo episodio, molto interessante. Continuate a seguirci. Grazie.
Beautiful. This is a multicultural show that we're producing here. Adam, what languages can you speak?
I speak Pig Latin.
All right. Oh, you know what? You speak the language of music.
Yeah, I speak the language of music. I'm a regular old white guy. I can't speak anything.
All right.
I have a question for Dina.
Go ahead, fire away.
For creating typography or hand lettering for animation, does your process differ?
It probably should, huh? I'm trying to think about that. Well, yes, a little bit, because the minor animations that I'm doing now are just like turning layers on and off again. So I try to create a process where I'm not giving myself more work. So I build out my layouts in a different way, so that way all those layers are kind of separated, so I know, and I put them in the order that they would need to be turned off and back on again, so that way everything makes sense when I go to the timeline feature, because I don't want to spend too much time on it. And that's why I don't use like After Effects or anything like that anymore. There's just too many options where I get overwhelmed, and then I'll just spend like a year on a 15-second animation.
Right.
3 hours in Photoshop. Right?
I know the feeling.
I definitely don't miss animation.
Now, I want to be mindful of time. Since it normally takes you 3 hours to do something like this, and our show is only an hour and a half, 2 hours, right?
Yeah, what are we at right now?
We're at 12:20, but I want to see this to a point in which you feel like, okay, that's kind of complete. And so
we're close with the rough draft, but you guys are just probably going to have to follow me.
Yep, to see the rest.
Such a tease. Oh my gosh. Okay, can we do this? While you're working, while you're teasing us with what that content might be like, I want to ask you a bunch of questions, but the rule has to be you can't stop working if you answer the question, okay?
Okay.
Can we do that? All right.
I'll try it.
All right, here we go. So Iona is asking you, is it too early to start sharing your knowledge while you're still at Design University?
Nope.
All right. That was good. Okay, let's see
You
what
can
else we
start
got.
teaching immediately, always.
Mark, do we have a good question from Facebook or YouTube?
We do have a good question. So people are wondering analog versus digital, when and why. So do you start on paper or versus starting on digital on the computer?
Start on paper because it's cheap.
Good
100%.
answer.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, and also I think it's really important when you start a technique with lettering or illustration that you're using traditional tools to build up your muscles correctly in your hand. Because if you start out doing doing digital, your hand isn't as strong because you don't have to press as hard. And you also, like, you get too used with like Command Z and undoing and all these fancy stuff. I feel like you almost need to learn it the hard way first, where you're having to draw things using tracing paper or using like a window to like tape your paper on in order to redraw the piece. And that'll you'll just be so much more prepared to go, full-time freelance, or if you just want to make a product, your skills will just grow more organically doing it traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like my worksheets, you print it out and you do it on the paper. Like, I don't want you to be putting it in Photoshop or Procreate. I want you to go OG. But then once your skills and you're ready to like do it professionally, then it makes sense to go ahead and do it digitally because it takes far less time. You're going to know all the basics of how to create the lettering in the first place. And especially people love to do huge projects for client work. Like when I did my book, I had to do like 100 illustrations in freaking like a month. It was insane. And there's no way I would have been able to do that if I didn't have my iPad. So definitely like the big projects where they want you to do a lot of assets, digital 100%. But in the beginning, keep it simple and most importantly, cheap as fuck.
All right. Now you broke a rule. You stopped working when you were talking.
No, but I have to do hand expressions. I'm Puerto Rican.
Hey, you only need one hand to draw, one mouth to speak, and the other hand can express. Can you do that?
Hey, I was doing stuff.
I saw you move that up and down like 3 times. Come on. All right. For those of you guys that aren't up to speed with the vocabulary that Dina is using, she said OG. That stands for original girl, and that's what that means. No, I'm just kidding. It means original gangster. She's gone OG on us. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, there's a couple more comments here. I got to get these in.
All right,
okay, again, Joshua Gilly is saying hot tip, all caps, 3 exclamation points. I think he likes that. Bloom Cakery says, this is amazing. All right.
Aw, you guys are so nice.
Josh
Please follow
Silver, big heart face. This is stunning. Etsy would love this. She rocks from Paul. Mm-hmm. Okay, now Bloom Cakery is saying, I would love to have something handwritten on my business card or thank you card for my clients. Well, Bloom, get your checkbook out, and I believe you can talk to Dina after this.
If only I knew someone that could do that for you.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, hit me up, Dina@Lettershoppe.com. Let's
you
make
go.
something
Boom.
cool together.
Okay, Claudia is saying, she's so amazing. I'm drawing along with you. So, of
Yay!
course, what did we say? We said at the beginning of the show, if you post something on Instagram and tag her on it at Lettershoppe with 2 P's and an E, she will give you a free critique. Super generous.
Aw, yeah. I'm just putting in the finishing touches on the...
Mm-hmm. Now, somebody is saying,
Okay.
it's so hard for me to pronounce her name. I'm so sorry, so I won't even try. Saying, loving this live. Dina is so inspiring. Okay, here's a good, simple question. Sachin is asking, what's your favorite typeface?
I don't know, probably like varied weight script. I mean, my favorite one to draw is probably Blackletter, but I do not have it memorized yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to use reference when to draw it. But I just love how angular that style is. And it's just a good way to just add some badassery around anything that you want to draw. So like curse words in Blackletter is like, such an art.
Oh my God, I love that sound effect. Wait, do that one more time. That's a Beavis and Butthead sound, isn't it?
It's like my own like Homerism.
I love it. You know, later on, you have to be careful what you say on our show because Aaron will then clip that and then that'll become part of our soundboard. So every time that comes up, I'll be hitting that. All right, awesome. Okay, there's some love going on for Emmanuel. Andrea saying, ciao spaghetti?
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 It's all about pasta.
Yeah, and then Claudia saying, ma pensate. I don't know, I'm not even try. And Emily, you have a new fan, I think. She says, he talks per day.
Ooh.
Yeah, all right.
Get it.
Shall we look at your work
Yeah, let's
again?
look at
Are you ready?
his drawings.
Okay, that's good. Checking in on Emmanuel. Whoa. All right. So you added in some of the God rays in there. What did you call them? Jesus lines?
Jesus lines.
I like Jesus lines. That works too. We'll try to offend everybody at the same time. Boom. Okay. Are you almost done with this?
I don't know. I've never done, you know.
It's never done.
I only want you to answer me in Italian. So every time I ask you a question, answer in Italian. All right?
Okay, perfetto.
Okay. Let's look at your screen again. Let's look at this. So I'm looking at the word is so. That feels a little out of place to me for some reason.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful script.
I want to make it condensed.
In Italian, please.
Voglio restringerlo un attimino perché è troppo largo.
And then your response?
My response is I think you should continue doing that. Yes, excellent.
Grazie, Chris.
You're welcome. All right. All right, let's look at the goddess again, her style. Boom. What are we looking at?
I'm just adding in some spurs.
Oh, man. Are you making it 3D?
Yeah.
Wow.
So as like a nice little tip for people who are doing this digitally, how I did this drop shadow is actually super easy. Don't use the drop shadow filter effect in Photoshop because it sucks. So just draw it with your hand. So just duplicate your layer, right? And then since this is having a center focus, I went ahead and I just hit Shift and Option and then reduced it. Went ahead, just lowered the opacity here, and then brought it down. And then those were kind of like my guides, so I knew exactly where to put my lines when doing the drop shadow. So that way everything's nice and aligned.
Hot tip right there. I saw you doing it. I wasn't going to say that, but I knew some 3D drop shadow extrusion was going on. And you did the same thing with bright. You offset it, and then you use that as a guide to draw your shadow lines, right? Nice.
I'm trying to. I think I'm gonna do it on need too. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like.
All right. So she's doing it again live for you guys now that you know what's up. Are you gonna do a drop shadow or a 3D effect?
Well, to me it's the same thing, but yeah, a drop shadow.
Okay.
It's gonna make sure there's enough space so that way it can be really dramatic. And also I have some extra space on the left and right side of this letter, so I can kind of do that by doing a super long drop shadow to kind of make up for that without having to squash my letters, which is cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna start to draw the lines. An easier way to do drop shadows is just to draw all of the lines at the same time and then connect them.
Now I noticed too, when you added the drop shadow 3D extrusion effect, you also offset the original lettering because now it's wider, right? So you shifted everything to the left so that it still remains center in your composition.
Yep, exactly.
Now, Emmanuel stopped drawing because he's busy checking out his Tinder feed right now. Guilty as charged.
That's why I'm on the show today. Just for that.
Single and ready to mingle.
He is single.
Oh, is he really?
It's like,
Oh, really?
I'm single and
You like to take long walks on the beach, recite poetry?
Hand lettering.
Yeah, he's a great hand lettering artist.
I cook pasta very well.
You make your pasta by hand, don't you?
Yeah. With the apple pasta.
Oh, that's so hot.
Thank you, Dina.
Cook for me, baby.
The show has gotten out of control, you guys. Adam, what are we doing together? Nothing? The show has gone off on its own tangent here.
Yeah, we're a little off the hinges.
Yes, we are.
Crazy. I love it. At least it's interesting to watch, right?
Yeah. We try to make learning fun, and you've made it very easy for us to do that, Dina.
It allows for all kinds of porn music as well.
Whoa.
It does sound a little sexy, doesn't it? I ended up not liking that drop shot.
Okay, so after that, you're like, nah.
Nah.
Too much?
No,
Why didn't you like it?
Okay, so showing it back up. Ooh, someone just commented on YouTube. Okay. Let me bring it back.
How do you know that? Are you watching the YouTube comments at the same time?
No, I don't have the link, but I just have notifications that someone commented, so it just showed up like what is going on in the future? That's what someone just commented.
Oh, I see. Yes, it's getting a little hot in here.
It's like, you don't even know. It just switched the perspective. So even though we read from left to right and doing that forced perspective on the right side, but it makes my eye go from the future and right straight to we need.
Yeah.
And we need, remember, isn't one of the main hierarchy words, even though it's bigger. So I think it just gave it a little bit too much importance in the
I see. I agree with you. Now, Adam, can you give us a little Nelly? It's getting hot in here.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Adam, it's getting hot in here. Give me a little Nelly.
That's his own version.
What the heck are you playing? That's nothing at all like it.
Wait, what do you want? Do you want that?
No.
No, I think he literally wants you to play Nelly. It's getting hot.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
It's getting hot in here, so hot, so take off all your clothes.
See how she did it?
Yeah, you just do it. You just go ahead and do it. No matter if it's good or not. Just fucking.
I know what, Adam. You could listen to it on iTunes, and then you can play it live.
All right, I'll get it next time.
No, you get it right now. Go listen to it right now. You can do it.
Come on, do it now.
So demanding.
Come on, you can do it. It's the moment is here.
Okay, here we go. It's gonna play through the stream.
No. Be careful it doesn't play through the stream. We're gonna get tagged. I don't want to get tagged. Yeah, there you go.
Take off all your clothes. Yeah, I know this song.
Go play it then.
No, all right.
I figured out a way to come up with that negative space. What up? I got so excited.
I saw that.
Wait, what did you just do?
I just added the what are these called? Like the back end of the glasses to fill in that space.
That thing.
I want to make this thing, the side, the ear hook.
That's a good term. Ear hook.
That works.
Ear hook.
That works.
Yeah.
Now, would you ultimately reverse out the shades to make them black or dark blue and then invert the type?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I'm just gonna do the lines. I kind of like that. All
Okay.
right.
What do you
All
think?
right. What?
Adam,
No,
what-
what do you think? Is the guitar whiter or are my legs whiter?
it's pretty close. It's pretty close, dude.
It's been a long winter.
Oh man.
Luckily, nobody can see.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I was wearing a dress yesterday. I was like, oh, this is a weird sensation.
It's called they're called temples.
Temples.
Yep.
The side things?
Yep.
Nice. Good job on the internet search there.
Temple and
Excellent.
temple tip
Temple
would
tip.
be the hook part.
Not the ear hook.
Like. Or an end tip.
But I like ear hook. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. You get the jive with it. You get the point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna make you bigger because I want to. All right. No, both layers. Come on, baby girl. You gotta talk dirty to your letters. They listen to you.
See, Adam, you keep missing it. Come on, dude.
Yeah, that T nice and big. Mm-hmm.
We're
That's the
getting
good stuff.
good rhythm.
So Kike H is asking who's playing the guitar. That's our musical director, Adam Sanborne, who's also a composer and sound designer. And he's the one who wrote our theme song, as well as several of the musical bits on our show. He's joining us live, as he will be a regular featured guest on our show. He's kind of like my counterpart, right? Instead of speaking with words, he speaks with guitar.
Right. And the second part that he writes is, can you make him stop? Is there something wrong with my feed, or do you guys have random guitar playing?
I love that there's live music. It's like a real talk show now.
Yes, it is.
So legit, you can't quit now.
I can't quit you, baby. Oh, wait. Oh, I had something prepared.
I think you say that inside your mind, Adam.
I can't quit you, babe. It's not working.
Now you're going in and you're going to fill the whole thing in by hand, huh?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do a really nice blueprint with that's like super textured, and then just add some quick color to it.
I see.
Get it done, and then I might ink it up later. It depends.
But you
And
have
how
to
I feel
follow
about
her to find out the results.
Yeah, you have to exactly.
Yeah.
This is only part one.
Mm-hmm. Well, also like when you're talking and stuff, it just takes a little longer. Like when I was live streaming on Twitch, I would be on stream for like 8 hours at a time. Just
Oh my
working on-
goodness.
Yeah, mostly because like the chat gets so flooded and there's so many questions and it's all about like how you're interacting with the chat and you have to be
Right.
entertaining. It's like trying to do a stand-up bit while drawing. Like it was pretty hard.
Yeah, the people that are really good on Twitch, they have their own gift, right? Like even when they're playing competitive video games, they can actually narrate and keep you entertained the entire time, which is pretty sick.
Yeah.
It's a very unique skill set there.
I'm just gonna have this kind of feather out.
Now, somebody had asked this question earlier about, well, if you're working in raster only, if you needed to do a high-res version of this and you don't want to vectorize it, would you just up-res this whole thing and redraw it?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I do always do my blueprints on a smaller size.
Yeah.
Like always do like 72 or something, just so my computer doesn't freak out.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like live streaming, you always want to be careful of your usage. And then I would just do the inking in a bigger file. Is what I'll normally do. But I usually always use like a pretty big file size, more than I need, because like I always keep in mind like tapestry sizes. Like I'm obsessed with Redbubble and their tapestries that you're able to get printed out like these big sheets of like a pattern or something, and so their minimum is 7,000 pixels at 300 dpi. So I always just usually have a 7,000 aspect ratio in there with like Instagram size or whatever, so that way if it can fit on a tapestry, it could probably fit on anything I needed to. But obviously, if it's someone like, hey, Dina, can you put this on a billboard? I'd be like, okay, I have to redraw it.
Right.
You have to do vector at that point. There's no reason.
Right, but at that point, they have a budget now, so it's like, all right,
Yeah, exactly.
you can totally do that.
We have a question here, Dina. Someone's
Yeah.
wondering any advice for someone trying to start a hand lettering business on the side.
You gotta be more specific.
Yeah,
than
it's
that.
pretty broad question. There's so many
Yeah, it's
different parts
yeah,
I
there's
can
a lot
dive
of-
into.
I have advice. Go
All right,
to
which-
Lettershoppe.com, read the
Yeah,
blog,
that's
There you
advice.
see how we take care of you. That's
I
how we
love
do
it.
it. Come on,
I love it
guys.
so much.
Okay, I'm going to go on a rant here, guys. Cut to my camera, please. I'm going to go on a little rant. I find it amazing how hard people work on not having to work at all. It's like if you want the information is out there, and all you have to do is type that in. How to create a business on the side of doing hand lettering, and Dina's blog is going to come up like number 1 through 10 or something like that. It's super easy. I just saw a comment the other day. It's like, I wish this series had a playlist. Well, did you try typing in that name and the word playlist?
There might be a couple
It's
there.
right there. And I tried it myself. It's like, boom. Ooh, whoa, hold on. We're getting into color line here. This is pretty cool. Wow.
I'm just playing so that way we can get some color on the screen. And it looks all chalky, right? So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. I like it.
So let's go ahead and play with some white.
So just out of
Make this
curiosity, how did you
perfectly.
colorize your blue type?
Oh, I'm just going and hitting color overlay in Photoshop.
I see.
And then, when you're doing lettering, a good rule of thumb is you always want to pick your background and your foreground colors first, so that way you have maximum contrast. That's always something that really bothers me when people pick colors. It's like those are the most important, so choose those. And then you just want to switch it up, like 3 spot colors is really nice. So if I wanted to go with dark purple, pink, and white, then it means just every other word on each line would be a different color. So it has a nice consistency. And then maybe the drop shadows would have white, or maybe add accents or something. So right now I'm just going in here and doing every other line and seeing what looks the best.
Okay, so we're heading into the home stretch of this thing, guys. If you have any lingering questions that you don't want to ask Dina later on, ask them right now in the comment section on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll hopefully pick out a couple of really good questions while she's putting the finishing touches on what she's doing at this stage of the game. I think you converting this into colors and now working with 2 shades, like the white and the deeper pink, I think, it's looking really sweet. And I have to say this, the way that you handle the shades, at first I was like a little skeptical of this, because it's a big old shape and it's kind of weird, and how are you going to make this work? And then getting that lettering in there, that style that you have, it's super cool. It feels a little bit like an athletic typeface with the way that slab serifs work, but the way that you did the ligature between the H and the A, I think looks really, really cool.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I gotta find something for the. I was trying to figure out a connection for the DES, but I couldn't figure out anything. Unless it's like the S touched the crossbar of the E, but that still wouldn't have worked, I think. But yeah,
It has a cool sporty look to it. It feels a little masculine. And originally when you were doing this, I thought, it's looking a little feminine to throw on the glasses, and how you had tapered the initial ligature where it had thick and thin, and now it's just like mono weight, and I like it. It looks really cool. Very custom, very hand done. Nice vibe.
thanks. Yeah, I just kind of was playing. I normally wouldn't use this many type styles in a piece, but I kind of just went for it. And I did not really get a chance to plan this phrase really at all. Just we're doing it all live.
Right.
So I'm surprised it came out like this, to be honest.
Hey, sometimes, no pressure, no diamonds. You did a good job. Now let's take a look back at my lettering here. Hold on. Erica, can you cut to my string, please? Let's see how we're doing, Erica.
Wow, Chris.
There we go. Look, guys, come on.
Man,
Not bad, huh?
multitasking.
I decided to add this kind of like gradient thing by stippling in something on the mid. No, I'm just kidding.
And what brush were you using?
I'm using my hand, dude. What are you talking about? Just default iPad Pro Procreate brush. How dare you, Mark?
What's the name of it?
It's called Brush.
Good job.
Manuel, you want to say something? Turn the mic towards you, dude.
Yeah, I'm a black and white person, as you can see.
Yes, I can see.
But yeah, I was
Nothing wrong with
just adding some few tweaks here and there on my script letters.
Yes.
And yeah,
And what are your thoughts when you're adding some of these components here to emphasize letters?
Let me tell you, Mark. My thoughts were. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
no, I just reduced the opacity on this part here because it was too light, I was kind of killing the word bright.
Okay. So it doesn't detract from the word, but it's
Exactly. I want to keep it symmetric,
Mm-hmm.
still nice.
Actually, your lettering looks a lot like the custom van lettering, the airbrush, old school airbrush brush script.
Yeah.
It has a sign painter vibe to it as well. Nice job. Cool. All right.
Good job, Chris.
Good job, Chris.
Hey, I could do many things at the same time, sure. Yeah.
A really important question, Dina. Is that a big bottle of sriracha behind you? Someone's asking.
It's inflated.
Yes,
It's
it
like
is.
inflated. Yeah, I wish it was real. I just have like a spout come out and just like guzzle it and just go free.
That's a lot of sriracha if that were actually real.
Oh yeah, I'm crazy. Again, guys, check out Yucateca hot sauce. You get it at Target and Walmart. It's like the best hot sauce I've ever had. It's like XXX. I put that stuff on everything. Like at first, when I first tried it, I'd have to like rinse I'd have to just eat a bunch of like bread and milk and just like freaking out. And now I just put gobs of it on my food. It's ridiculous, but it's so good. It makes anything bland taste amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I used to feel about sriracha. And I'm a big hot sauce person. Like I always had a dream of, when I'm older and I have like a garden and kids and that whole thing, I wanted to make my own custom hot sauce bottles and do something crazy, like custom make like only 100 and then spend like a ton of money on like really nice packaging and like gold foil pieces and like just go nuts and then like, just sell them if people want to buy them, cool. If not, just make it like super, like you can only ever buy 100 bottles and sell it
Limited
for
and
like,
high quality.
yeah, just like a ridiculous amount of money. I just thought it would be fun.
All right, guys, we're pushing the envelope in terms of our live stream today. So Dina put the final touches on it. And then those of you guys that want to see how she's going to finish this, are you going to finish this?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
so where can people go to see the rest of the story? So think of this as part one to a story, and you'll see the sequel on.
I would just go to Instagram.com/Lettershoppe. And if you want to join my newsletter, it's Patreon.com/Lettershoppe.
Okay, you guys get that? Let's say that one more time.
Instagram.com/Lettershoppe and Patreon.com/Lettershoppe.
Super easy. All right. So are we done, or how many more little doodads do you want to add?
I just a couple little more doodles.
Okay.
Or
I
just
don't want to
couple
cut you off.
little
You do it.
circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Because
like,
otherwise, people are gonna get mad at me.
yeah, they're gonna be like, you didn't even let her finish.
Yeah, dude.
Bro,
what are you doing?
Yeah, so
They're gonna
I
say
just like
this.
I always just like doing circles and stars and
Yeah.
stuff.
I
So I'm
see.
just like, oh, big circles, little circles, big circles, outline circles.
And you're just filling in the space, right? You're making it kind of feel even throughout.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then go in with a different color.
So I'm really inspired right now. You know what? I'm going to do two. You guys want to follow me on Instagram.com/TheChrisDoe. I'm going to do one too. You know what? I promise you I'll do one. It won't be as nice, but I will do one. All right?
Yeah, it's not about the likes. It's
I learned-
about the experience.
Yeah, I learned a bunch of things in the way that you're doing this.
I'll
This
do
is-
one too.
This is rad.
Yay!
Yeah, everybody, let's do one. All right? And we'll compare.
I won't do one, but I have 10 followers on Instagram. I honestly, this is true story. So find me on there. Chris, tell him my name.
Let me tell them this first, Adam.
Cool story, bro.
The best you can do, huh? Yeah. We'll plug you later. You'll be here many, many times. So I just want to make sure that Dina gets the spotlight here.
Yeah.
All right. So Dina, you're
All
in
right,
Portland, right?
Yes.
You're in Portland. You're wearing the magic glove, and you're using an iPad Pro with a pencil and connecting it to your computer via AstroPad, and she recommends it. I recommend it. A lot of people love it, and it's cool. And the reason why it's cool is because you don't have to buy an extra device to have around. Okay. We also learned that Emmanuel's super hot, but his hands are very cold. His lettering's all right. It's not bad, right? Okay, so let me get to my deck here. Where the heck is my deck so I can wrap up the show? We did that part. Okay. All right, guys. Since we're in the plugging business, I just want to let you guys know that we also have a hand lettering work kit that you can use. It's designed to be worked with on your iPad. So you can download that. That's $49. And you can also take more courses from us if you like at academy.thefuture.com. And Adam Sanborne is our composer sound designer, adamsanborne.com. That's his information. And you can, of course, and you need to do this right away. You need to find Dina everywhere. On YouTube, on Instagram, on Dribble, on Behance, even though she doesn't update it. You can just go to lettershoppe.com, and it's at Lettershop on Instagram and Twitter. And I just want to say thank you to all of you guys who have tuned in live to stick it out with us for a little over an hour and a half. Dina, you are a rock star. You are a lettering goddess. Thank you so much for coming on our show. And thank you, everybody. Adam, Emmanuel, woo! Let's do this. Let's get on the show. Adam, take us home.
Take it away.
This is live music, you guys. Keep going, Adam.